So I think the two key changes are Richard Wainwright will become Chief Executive of Investec Bank Limited in South Africa, and that's a role that I've held for many, many years. So he will be the person in future, it's still subject to regulatory approval, who will interact with regulators and manage the balance sheet of the bank. That is a statutory role. And that all the banking operatives will report to Richard Wainwright on a day-to-day basis. Then the second thing is that I've historically held two roles, global head of the specialist bank and as well as head of CEO of Investec Limited and Investec PLC. So that role, I hand over global head. Bernard and I basically ran specialist bank in addition to the group. We're handing over the running of the specialist bank, which is a number of different divisions and different legal entities around the world, to David van der Walt and Kieran Whelan. Now, they have historically had the role, the last couple of years, of global head of corporate institutional banking. Has been David van der Walt, and Kieran Whelan has been global head of private banking. But together they will run the specialist bank. So those are the big changes. Andy Leith, who was joint head of South Africa and head of the investment bank globally, will move into the new investment vehicle that we've created. But that's part of his time, so he'll be executive chairman. And the other part of his time is he'll still continue to provide advice to key corporates and help our different operatives in their interaction with key corporates, and continue as an executive of the broader group supporting Bernard and I. So it means that we were very heavily involved in operations in the bank day to day. We now have leadership entrenched in the different banking businesses, and that we will move more to the holding company. We'll spend a lot of time with our people, with our clients, with our stakeholders, and more from a portfolio perspective than a nuts and bolts day-to-day operational perspective. I don't think we'll be less busy, but we'll be focusing on different things. So our target market, we started off, our entry level is a young professional, and so we're not all things to all people. We do not deal with everyone across the spectrum of society. So a young professional to the very high net worth individual would be the individual target markets, and we stratified them into different groups. And then middle to large corporate, we're not a micro SME type bank in South Africa. So that, and then obviously government and state-owned enterprises would be our core target market. So we believe our target market is growing. We add probably in excess of 10%. We increase our client base by at least 10% per annum, and I think that is part growth, part market penetration. So we're comfortable that, I think, as I said in my presentation, South Africa is like a tale of two cities. There's a side to South Africa that is growing, and then there's a side that is dying. And that's because we just need to change. So the side that's growing is very good for our society. The side that is dying needs just to be refocused and reshifted. There are industries that are just going to die or not be competitive, and we have to create new industries that we grow the economy, which is where we're battling to adjust. But we see growth in our target market. Yes, I think if you just look at recent research, LSM 7 to 10, I know our clients would be LSM 10 and above, have doubled, more than doubled since 2004, from about 10 million to 20 million. So you have got the growth in the upper end, but then, and we've uplifted a lot of people from poverty. So people who fall below the poverty line have dropped quite dramatically, and that's partially through social grants. But there has been a big shift, which is not really reflected in the employment numbers, because we have got population growth. But a lot of the issues we have is that there's certain elements of society, or parts of society, where we have to retool the people because they have skills that are not relevant for where the economy is. I think, we believe that the business makes sense as it's structured. In life, you never say never, but where we are right now, we think these businesses are key to us. That's why we have the good balance between what we call a capital light businesses via our asset management and our wealth management businesses, and then we have the capital intensive business via the specialist banking business, the investment business, and the property business. So I think we're very well placed at the moment to keep the business as it is. We have taken a pool of private equity assets, and together with the management team that run those private assets, and we've raised a whole lot of capital against that management team will participate as an investor in that private equity, that pool of private equity assets. But those are industrial assets as opposed to financial services businesses. We're in very volatile markets. We have a weak currency. We're growing at the moment, but markets are choppy, and you're swimming upstream. In some of our businesses, we have some areas where you have, the UK on the ground. The UK economy is doing very well. The South African economy is weak on the ground, and we don't know if some of these issues are going to roll over into our core client base. We haven't seen it yet. Clearly, the mining client base is under pressure. We're not a very big mining franchise, but we still have some exposure there. And but our core client base is still functioning very well. We don't know if some of these issues don't roll over into that client base. So I think those would be the challenges. But, we hit these seasons, then we put our heads down and we operate. I think we're neat and tidy, and therefore we can take advantage of some of the opportunities that are out there. In December, I'm going on holiday.
Where are you going?
I'm going probably to Sydney. I've got a daughter who lives in Sydney, and my grandchildren are there. So I'll go and visit them.